Welcome to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast, your quality assurance consulting team. Quality is our highest priority for your business with one goal, one direction, success. And now here's your host, Charles Luttrell. Good afternoon, listeners. I am coming live to you from Ellicott City, Maryland today, and it is raining. And my next guest today is Nicole. Nicole, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good for a rainy morning here
I
in
was going to
Maryland.
say, I'm sorry it's raining. I'm looking at sun.
Yay, wonderful. Yes. I'm in a very interesting area, too. I'm near historic Ellicott City, so there's probably going to be some noise in the background. And I think the rain's probably going to be beating off the car a little bit today, off and on. But I think we'll get through it. I think that'll be good for this podcast.
It sounds good.
All right. So go ahead and let's get started and tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I am Nicole Whittington, and I am a ultra luxe travel designer, but most people would just think of a travel agent because that's usually what they have heard or would know. But I'm just in a more luxury space where I actually design everything, every little component. So I can do something very basic, or, we can have dinner reservations and very specific things put, get booked for you.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very tedious process.
It can be.
Yeah.
It certainly can be.
So tell us, why did you decide to be this luxurious travel advisor?
So I have been, or I still am. I am a travel agent, and I started 24 years ago. And I kind of did everything around the world, all different types of travels, and I still do that. But I basically now tend to do a lot more trips that are not your regular run-of-the-mill vacation. So they don't have to be somewhere exotic. They can be, they can just be Paris or something, or you could go to Africa and do a safari. It can be wherever you want to go, but everything is more booked the way a VIP would do it. And so I think it was just kind of a natural progression from when I started just doing trips around the US, then maybe the Caribbean. And I just started to learn more about the industry over all of these years. And it was almost just like a natural progression that I found the space that I wanted to go in. And that's how I became what I am now in that space.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes. And what is it again? What's the title? Luxurious?
I mean, it's just kind of a title that maybe I came up with or saw somewhere, but an ultra luxe travel designer. I like the word. It doesn't have to be ultra luxe. Let's be honest. Like I said, it can be something that doesn't have to be, a place that no one's ever heard of. But I like the idea of calling myself a travel designer because I can design every component. A lot of people don't realize how meticulous it can be, like how many details you can actually put into a vacation. And once you start to see that and you've traveled like that, it's almost like a different world. It's not just airfare and hotel or airfare and hotel and, a transfer or car service. I mean, you can have every little piece, every detail booked exactly the way you want it. And to me, that's kind of like design. So I liked that term. I probably saw it somewhere and went with it.
I like it too. I think it really sounds neat because of you're designing this package that's going to fit what you were wanting to do with wherever you're traveling to. I really like that.
Exactly. I just feel like it's not, everybody kind of looks, I started so long ago, and the vacation package, like quote unquote package, was so popular then because it was just a pack. Do you have a
Just a
package?
package,
Yeah, I
right?
want a package. But it was very cookie cutter. I mean, sure, you would choose the destination and you would choose the hotels, and as the consumer, you would choose those things.
Mm-hmm.
But now I get to introduce to people that it's so much bigger than that. Yes, we can do just a package, but if you want
Mm-hmm.
something that is completely detailed to your liking and every different vision that you have, it can be done. And most people just have no idea that happens and that can be done.
Yeah. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, because I know most travel agents get paid when the trip is actually booked. Is that
Mm,
correct? So you get paid by the agent,
yes.
right? By the
Uh,
companies, right?
right. So like hotels,
Yeah.
airlines, everybody else out there that, tour companies, cruise lines.
Right, right. So as a travel designer, is that different, more expensive? Are you paid differently, or is it still
No,
the same
it's
way?
still exactly the same way.
Oh,
All
okay.
trips pretty much can still have a deposit and they still have a final
Mhm.
payment date. Every trip that you do will have different terms and conditions because it's going to be based on all the components. So you might have, multiple hotels where they need multiple deposits, but they don't all have to be paid upfront. Um, and then there's not really all the fees are just based on what you're booking.
Uh-huh.
So it's not necessarily, hey, you have to pay me this amount of money for me to talk to you and design this package. That's not how it works at all.
Gotcha.
So it is, but it all will depend on what is being booked, of course, as far as how the prices go and what the deposits are and all of that. But it's not that much different than a package. It's because that as we're talking about it. So as I'm
Yeah, because you're
introducing to
explaining
you
in detail, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like here's a
yeah.
proposal and this is what we're going to do. So there's still a lot of communication throughout the whole process, but
Hmm.
yeah, there's not like a fee to talk to me or anything.
Right. That's very cool. So you've got some experience, 24 years. So why did you choose your industry? I'm interested to know, since you've been doing this for a long time. What tell us about your path a little bit and how you got where you are.
So it's kind of interesting because I didn't choose it. I was so young and
It chose you.
it chose me. It did. So it really that's exactly what I say to people. I didn't choose it, it chose me. I was just looking through the newspaper. Back then you looked through jobs in the newspaper and I saw an ad for someone that was needed at a travel agency. And it was just for an office support person. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. I had never traveled before in my life, but just thought it would be interesting. So I answered that. I ended up going in for an interview and I got the job as an office support person. And then I was there for about 3 months before one of the district managers had come in and just asked if I had any interest in becoming an agent and that they would send me up to their school for it. So back then you had to go to school to learn everything with all the different systems and kind of about the world.
Hmm.
So I thought, okay, sure, that sounds great. Never in my mind did I ever kind of think like this was the career path for me.
Right.
And then I went up and did the school. Schooling took forever. You would go up and you stay in a hotel for a week and come back on the weekend and then go back up for a week. And this went on for 6 months in and out.
Hmm.
And then once I started doing it, I kind of just had a natural interest in it, like after I had learned about it. And then I really just loved the sales part of it and learning about all of the different places. So each component I really just ended up loving. And then years later, I kind of looked back and was like, well, this is not what I ever really thought that I was going to do, but I really enjoy it. So it just continued on that way.
Right.
Because a few years after that, I had even just thought about, well, maybe I'll I'll go back to school for something different. And
Right.
but I
Right.
loved it. So it was I never really had any desire after that to do anything else. Like it was before that I had probably thought of different career paths, but this just turned out to be it. And now looking back, when people talk about it, I always say like I just have such passion for it. Like I
Yeah.
really love what I do. Not many
Hmm.
people can say that. I really do. I love um meeting people and making memories. There are some clients that I have been working with for 24 years.
Wow,
there
that's impressive,
I
right?
still have there are clients that I've had for all this time, and I have gotten to see them go on their honeymoon and have kids and all of these different things. So it's really, really cool. And as time goes on, I still find things that I'm like, oh, I just love that. So yeah, it kind of chose me.
Hmm.
I had I had no idea that there was even a big travel industry out there when I was that young.
Right. That's impressive because it's from what I gather now from talking to you, it seems like it's a lot involved because you have to know a lot about the world, right? If people are traveling around the world, you have to know a lot of information, right?
You do need to know a lot of information, but let's be honest, we don't know everything. We do still have to do research on some stuff. So there are still destinations that people will bring to me. It's like, all right, well, hold on. The good thing that I have done over the past 7 years is really spend a lot of my time making connections with colleagues and different suppliers and vendors around the world. So
Hmm.
now, if there's destinations that I'm not super well versed in, I have someone on the ground there that
Got
I can work directly with to kind of to bring the package to life, which
it. Right.
is fabulous. Like that was something that I didn't know existed 20 years ago when I was first starting out.
Hmm.
So now it's part of why I like doing what I'm doing now, which is very specifically planning these types of vacations because
Hmm.
I I can build something that you're not going to find on the internet. Like let's
Right.
be honest. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the interesting part of the job is like you said, is you can do things that we didn't think that would ever exist.
Mhm.
Right.
Exactly. I tell people now it's like you can travel like a celebrity. And
Yeah.
it can cost a fortune, let's be honest, it can. But it doesn't have to. There are so many
Hmm.
different facets. I think some people think, well, I couldn't do that, I
Yeah.
that's for a celebrity or a VIP and it's like
Hmm.
no, you actually you can. You can. But
Right.
people you can't find it on your own. It's
Hmm.
it's just not out there.
Right. So that brings you to my next question. So, what are some of the challenges you face?
I mean, the biggest challenge is always going to be the internet.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't originally when I first started, but quickly became a challenge.
It
So it's
quickly
always
became a
going to be the
challenge.
internet. And I would say just the lack of like consumer knowledge around what we do and our benefits. So I definitely think that there's still a stigma of people think, oh, well, they charge you a lot of money. Um, and some of them can. I mean, it's an industry where it can be very different in different areas or every agency may be different. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to say that that never happens.
Yeah.
But not everybody does the same thing and everybody is very different in the way that they work in different agencies. But I mean, some of the benefits people don't even realize are there. And then I think a lot of people really, well, they say they enjoy it. I'm not sure if they really enjoy it, but a lot of people say they enjoy spending the time online looking through things.
Hmm.
The problem with that is half the time you don't really know what you're looking at. So that is always going to be the biggest challenge until somebody actually spends the time and goes with an agent. And then
Hmm.
they start to see how the benefits can help them and how it works out a little bit better. Because everybody can look at a picture online and it can look great. You can
Right.
read about something and it sounds great. So the internet is really nice because you can see everything at your fingertips. You can research different places, but that doesn't always mean that it's the right fit for what you're looking for. And a lot
Hmm.
of people forget those little details.
Yeah, and the flip side to that too, right? I can look at something and say, "Man, that's dangerous. I would never go there."
Exactly. Yep.
However, my first time out of the country was a such a wonderful experience that I would do it again in a heartbeat. You know, and that
Absolutely.
and that's what I think would be the good part of using a travel advisor or a travel designer such as yourself, because you can really talk to your clients or your potential clients and say, "Look, this is what we do. This is how we do things." And that's one of my kind of segue to my next question is going to be, tell us some of the advantages and disadvantages because after talking to you, I've never used a travel agent or a travel advisor, so I have no idea the process. So I'm already like, I think I would want to do this better than doing research myself, right? Because I think the process would be a lot simpler if I had somebody doing it
Yes.
for me.
Absolutely. I have a friend who she just loves to do it. And she's like, well, I just enjoy, I do this. I like seeing all the different things. But it's funny because she spends so much time doing it. And I'm like, if you
Mhm.
do it, if you enjoy it, but she brings all the information back to me and then I book it. But I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like, I can do this for you. But she
Right,
just kind of enjoys that. And I think for some people they do,
right.
so that's fine. They can still book with an agent and still have the benefits. I mean, benefits of booking with an agent are so many. There's so many different facets of all of it. So I mean, the biggest advantage is just you don't have to worry about it, right? You don't
Right.
have to spend the time. I mean, for a lot of people, they don't have time to do that. It used to be, again, back in the day, way back in the beginning of my career, the internet was not as big and there wasn't as much information on the internet. So we would always tell people to go to the bookstore. If somebody wanted to go to a specific destination, we'd go to the bookstore. There's a travel section, sit down and have a look in the books and see what you're thinking because all of the information is there. And that is still a thing. And I do still tell people to do that. And the
Hmm.
reason I say to do that is because one, it's a book. It's not just the internet. With the internet, there's so much information that's not valid. It's not real. It's fabricated. So if you go get a book, the books are usually fromers or foders who have been in business forever. And
Hmm.
they are very specific with what they talk about. It's not opinion based, it's fact
Hmm.
based, it's information based. So, like, that still is very helpful to people. So, people get stuck in this loop just searching online for hours and hours and hours. So, the biggest advantage is you don't have to do that. The second, I would say, biggest advantage is if anything goes wrong, you have an advocate for you. You have someone that if your flight gets canceled because there is something happening, whether it be a weather event or some big event where everybody is trying to fly, right? Everybody has to
Hmm.
get out somewhere. You are going to try and call an airline and you're going to hold for 8 hours. I'm not even joking about that time. I mean, I've seen that happen. You could be standing in lines and lines at the airport, but your travel agent is going to have a back door to get through. They're going to have someone that's at the airline that they're going to call directly. They're going to have a whole team of people that they're going to call directly. They're going to have
Hmm.
access to their own systems that they can make changes in directly. I have had clients at the airport with a last minute flight cancellation call me and say there are hundreds of people in line to go up to the ticket counter to get reaccommodated. And I had them reaccommodated within 15 minutes of their phone call. And they just got to go to the restaurant and sit down and eat.
That's
So
impressive.
so that, you know what I mean? So those are like the
Yeah.
big things. I mean, aside from piecing everything together, the other thing is most people don't know everything about every destination, and sometimes things get missed. I've heard people come to me with horror stories of how they booked their air and hotel to Bora Bora, but didn't realize that they couldn't get to Bora Bora from Papeete, which is the main island in Tahiti. And once they landed in Papeete, Bora Bora is a whole different island. You have to fly to it. They didn't realize. They had no
Wow.
idea. So then they were stuck in Papeete, and the next flight out wasn't until the next day. And they paid $1,500 a night for their hotel in Bora Bora, and they lost that $1,500 because they were
Right.
stuck in Papeete. So there's just a lot of little things that you don't always necessarily know. And if you're booking just airfare and hotel,
Uh-huh.
those two components don't know what you're doing, and they don't really walk you through all of it.
Right.
So, so those are
That's a
the
great
big things.
advantage.
Those are the big things.
Yeah.
The little things that aren't even little, but that are smaller than that was I have benefits with so many. I have contracts with suppliers, vendors, airlines, car service companies, hotels all around the world. There are hotels where I can say, I'm going to put you in this hotel. Not only is it a great location, but I have a great relationship with them, and they're going to give you $100 food and beverage credit, and they're going to give you free breakfast every day, and they're going to upgrade your room. And those are so they're not little benefits, but they're smaller than being able to help in a big problem. but
Like
those are
airfare.
different things, you know.
Right.
that people don't, and that's just because of my relationships with in the industry.
Yeah.
So, and that is something that is very standard, and people love. I mean, that's a ton of savings. You go to a lot of places and breakfast is $50 per person, and you're there for 7 days. That's a lot of money that you got included with your trip. So there are amenities and there are benefits, but the big ones are just you have someone with you every step of the way. Or I didn't even bring this up, but I have the knowledge. So once you start to have a relationship with a travel advisor, they get to know your likes and your wants. Most of my clients that I've been working with for years, they don't even tell me, they don't even look at anything. They just say, Nicole, we're thinking about going to Australia this year. We don't know what we want to do. Just send me something. And I send it to them because I know what hotels they like. I know what activities they like. They don't have to think about anything because we've made that relationship.
Right.
Or somebody that'll say, I want to go here, but I want this, this, and this. And that's not the here, those things they want are not in the here that they want. So it's like, no, that doesn't work. We can't do that.
Right.
So, and then it just makes so much sense for them because they're not spending all of this time, and then they're not spending money and traveling, and their vision doesn't meet what they end up having. That's the saddest part for me, is when people they plan for this and then they spend their money and then they go and it's not at all what they envisioned because they had no idea what they were booking.
That was my next, I was going to just kind of briefly mention that because I was thinking about that as you're talking. It's like, I think it's good that you build that relationship that way. When I go on a trip, I don't go and say, well, this isn't what I expected, because you know what I expected. So you built that trip around my expectation. So it should definitely meet what I expected.
Correct. And there's
You
always
know?
going to be those times where it's not perfect. There's always going to
Yeah.
be the times where maybe it doesn't meet your expectation, or maybe, there's some issues going on at the hotel. And that's another benefit, is you can call me. So I always tell my clients, if you get somewhere and you're not happy, call me.
Yeah. Well, for
Call me.
example, right? Like, for example, I book a trip out west to like Vegas or something. You're not going to get me to parachute out of a plane. That's not something I want to do. Don't put that on my itinerary.
Right.
Because I'm not going to
Exactly.
have a good time.
Exactly. And it does take a few trips to get there. But I mean, even my people that come to me, whether it's from marketing or referrals, I get a lot of referrals, word of mouth, and they'll come to me and I just try and talk to them, and I'll ask them, have you ever traveled? What did you like? What didn't you like? If I send them a proposal, I tell them, please tell me what you don't like. Let's just be honest with what we're putting together so that we can be on the same playing field, and
Exactly.
that we are a right fit. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm giving
Yeah.
you is the fit that you were envisioning. I just used to see a lot of that when I worked in an agency, that a lot of people just came in and had all these ideas, or they heard someone at work, oh, my friend went here and she said it was amazing, but it's not what they're used to, or everybody just has different opinions. So
Yeah.
it's better to, even when I talk to people, I'll never say, oh, that place isn't nice, like, because that's an opinion. But it's like, let's just look at the facts. Does it have these amenities that you want? Is it in the
Absolutely.
location that you want?
Right.
Is the service there going to be good enough, like for what your level of expectation is?
Mm-hmm.
And that varies. And sometimes people make the wrong decisions. I had a client last year, wanted this specific hotel in Hollywood, and I said, it's not really, it doesn't fit into what you originally said you wanted. I know, but let's go. I hear it's nice and this and that. And so, okay, I'll book it. If that's what you want.
That's
And
what
the
you want. You
first
got it. Here
the
you go.
the first night they're emailing me like, this is not it. we,
This was
we
not
don't
it.
we don't want this. And by the next day I had the penalties waived from checking out early, because most hotels have penalties if you want to leave
Yes.
early. So I had the penalties waived, and then I reaccommodated them at another hotel in a better area, a better property. I contacted the manager there and told him what happened. So they greeted them with like an upgraded room, put like, a little gift in the rooms, chocolates, covered strawberries or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
and it turned out amazing. And they were forever grateful for that. And but
Right.
those are the things. So I tell people all the time, do not sit for 7 days in a place that you don't like. Call me. I'm not
Right.
telling you it might not cost more money at a different hotel. Another hotel
Right.
may be more expensive. But
But
if I
that's one of
can
the
get
advantages that you have, right? Because
exactly.
if you're talking to a travel advisor, you know, or a travel designer like you call up and say, hey, this is what I expected. Help me out, and
Mhm.
you make the magic happen on the backside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, listeners, Q.A.C. team here. We interrupt this podcast to offer business owners an opportunity to take advantage of our free business analysis. We will visit your location to assess food quality, timing, customer service, and cleanliness. From the web, visit QACteam.com and click on Free Analysis and Consultation at the top of the page. While you are there, to sponsor a podcast or be featured, click on Feature Me. For mobile users, select from the menu options. We look forward to helping your business grow. What about some of the expectations for you and your business in the next year or two? What are you expecting?
So my expectation is that I'm going to keep growing. So I want to grow both in clients and employees. I want to be able to hire employees. I want to just continue to grow. I want to have a solid foundation of social media as well, and like my website be uniform. I'm working on that. It's not all there yet. So that's
Okay.
coming, but it takes
Okay.
a lot of work in the
Yeah.
background. So those are my goals and expectations that I want to have done in the next year.
Okay. So how do we contact you?
You can contact me right from my website, and all my socials are on there as well, my email and my phone number. You can just go to www.roamunknown.com.
And can you spell that for us so we have the
Sure,
correct spelling?
that makes sense, right?
Right, right, right.
ROAMUNKNOWN, Rome Unknown.
Very, very catchy. I love it.
Yeah, I liked
How'd you
it
come
too.
up with that? Yeah, how'd you come up with that?
It took forever.
It took forever.
It took forever. Um, I tried a million different names and combinations, and if I loved one, it was surely not available to be had. So, like, I finally was just going through a whole list of different names that I had come up with, and I just couldn't get away from this. It just kind of stuck in my head. So I was like, that's it, because it just keeps it's sticking. So
It keeps
I
coming
just
back to
it
that
just
one.
flows. I don't know if everybody loves it or not, but I think it just flows, and I think it's kind of a fun way to just say, like, who knows? Just go anywhere, just roam.
Just Rome unknown. I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, Nicole, last question. Would you like to offer a discount to our listeners?
Yes, I would love to offer some promos and discounts. What they'll need to do is they'll have to reach out to me directly and just let me know that they listen to the podcast. And then we can discuss their trip details. And of course, the amount will be dependent on the terms and conditions of the trip. So it could be anywhere from $150 off up to $500 off. And it'll just be dependent on where they're looking to go and what type of package they're looking to do.
Oh, that's great. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, anything else that you want to add before we close up here?
Geez, no, I don't think so. I think we covered it all.
We did, Nicole. Thank you so much. It's been a great interview.
Thank
I
you so
love the
much.
information. I think going forward, if I plan a trip, I'm going to reach out to you first.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I've
Absolutely.
I've never used a travel agent before, and I'm excited to use a travel designer such as yourself to design my package on what I want when I travel.
I will work my magic.
I appreciate that. This has been very eye opening for me because I never wanted to use one because I was always afraid that the price was going to be too much, and I didn't realize how it worked. You know, so this
Yeah,
has helped. This has helped me understand a little bit the process of of the travel industry, and that's why I want to bring you on to get information on. Let's clear up some false information about travel advisors and a travel designer such as yourself.
absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And I'll talk to
Thanks,
you soon.
Chuck.
Thank
Sounds
you, sir.
good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast with your host, Charles Luttrell. Connect with us on the web at qacteam.com, Facebook and Instagram at qac.team. Thanks for listening.